Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely unpack the blueprint of life on Earth. We're going to look into exactly why nature's architecture is, well, absolutely invaluable to our daily lives, and we'll break down the precise scientific strategies we use to protect it. The architecture of biodiversity is definitely complex, but as we go through this today, you'll see exactly how all these intricate pieces fit together.
Okay, let's dive right in with a pretty staggering number, 25%. Over a quarter of all pharmaceutical drugs available to us today are sourced directly from plants. Think about that for a second. That is a massive portion of our global healthcare system that is entirely dependent on nature's own chemical factories. And honestly, it goes even deeper than that. Traditional medicine across the world utilizes something like 25,000 different plant species. So this isn't just an abstract concept. This grounds our conservation efforts in very immediate real-world human survival. The undiscovered cures for tomorrow? They might literally be sitting in a tropical rainforest right now, just waiting to be found.
All right, that brings us to Section 1, the value of nature.
So, we can essentially categorize our relationship with the environment into two main perspectives. First up is the narrowly utilitarian view. This one focuses on the direct, tangible products we extract from nature. Things you can hold, eat, or sell. We're talking about our fundamental food supply like cereals and fruits, the firewood that heats homes, or industrial products like dyes and fibers. Contrasting this, we have the broadly utilitarian view. This one encompasses the massive and valuable ecosystem services that nature provides us absolutely for free. This includes really crucial functions like oxygen production, natural pollination, and even the sheer mental well-being we get from simply spending time outdoors.
Now, it is incredibly hard to put a price tag on breathing, right? But get this, a massive 20% of the Earth's oxygen comes exclusively from the Amazon rainforest. Just one region, one massive biological engine, is single-handedly responsible for a fifth of our global life support system. So when we talk about protecting ecosystems, we aren't just saving some trees. We are quite literally protecting the very air we breathe.
And beyond the air we breathe, we rely so heavily on completely free labor from nature. Natural pollination by agents like bees, bats, and birds is absolutely vital for global food production. Imagine just for a second if we had to go out and artificially pollinate every single crop that requires it. The financial cost would be astronomical. It would completely devastate our global agricultural economy. It's a perfect example of a broadly utilitarian service that we usually take completely for granted, until it's threatened, of course.
Which leads us directly into Section 2, the ethical imperative.
There is a really powerful philosophical point we need to consider here. As the quote says, each species has its intrinsic worth, and we are responsible for preserving the biological heritage of our planet for future generations. So, moving way beyond just economic or biological utility, this perspective argues that we actually have a moral obligation to safeguard the myriad species that share our planet simply because they exist. They have value in and of themselves, completely separate from what they can do for humans. As the dominant species on Earth, we basically act as stewards for all the generations that will follow us. So how do we actually do that? Let's get into Section 3, how we protect it. Our first main strategy is called in situ conservation. In Latin, in situ basically means on site. So this is the practice of protecting entire ecosystems right exactly where they are, in their natural habitat. The ultimate goal here is to maintain native biodiversity and prevent extinction by simply leaving the species alone and throwing a massive invisible protective shield around their entire home.
On the flip side, we have ex situ conservation, which literally means off-site. This one is essentially a rescue mission. It's the strategy of actively pulling vulnerable or endangered organisms out of harm's way and relocating them into highly specialized, human-managed care facilities. This is a much more interventionist approach, and it's mostly used when a species' natural habitat has become way too degraded or dangerous to ensure its survival in the wild.
Together, these two strategies build a complete safety net. In situ protection involves safeguarding vast biodiversity hotspots. These are regions characterized by incredibly high species richness. Think of spectacular places like the Western Ghats or the Himalayas in India. Enforcing strict protections in these areas mitigates extinction risks across huge landscapes. Meanwhile, ex situ intervention manages very focused environments. We're talking zoos, aquariums, and botanical gardens, where species are protected, heavily studied, and often bred in captivity just to ensure their specific genetic lines can actually continue.
And modern science is absolutely supercharging these ex situ efforts. It's not just about keeping animals in enclosures or planting things in botanical gardens anymore. We are now utilizing cryopreservation. That means literally freezing eggs, sperm, and embryos at ultra-low temperatures so they remain viable pretty much indefinitely. We're even using tissue culture to propagate heavily threatened plants from just a few microscopic cells in a lab setting. It is cutting-edge biology serving as the ultimate insurance policy for Earth's genetics.
Bringing us to our final part, Section 4, a global commitment.
Because biodiversity knows absolutely no borders, local scientific efforts have to be backed by serious global action. The 1992 Earth Summit was a huge, historic rallying point for this, resulting in the Convention on Biological Diversity. Fast forward to 2010, and 190 nations had set real targets to significantly curb biodiversity loss. And today? Well, while we've definitely made strides, that commitment remains a fiercely pressing global endeavor. The foundation is absolutely there, but the work is far, far from finished.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a critical question to think about. Are we doing enough today to fulfill our ethical obligation and preserve the planet's biological wealth for future generations? I mean, consider that 25% of life-saving medicines we rely on. Consider that 20% of oxygen coming from the Amazon, the completely free labor of our natural pollinators, and all the incredible scientific tools we now have at our disposal. Look at the magnificent architecture of biodiversity we've explored today and ask yourself, how can we ensure its preservation?